What's up everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. If you are new here, my name is Ariana and I film content on digital and film photography, specifically around Fujifilm, Olympus gear, and just all things about film. And if you're new here, you may not know this, but it has been quite a while since I filmed my last video. Life has just been crazy hectic, and welcoming a new baby into the family is definitely something that turns your world upside down. So now that we're kind of emerging out of that fresh new motherhood bubble, I'm super excited to get back into not only photography in general, but also filming content here on YouTube. And while I can't guarantee any kind of commitment as far as a posting schedule or how often I want to do videos, I am really excited to be able to take you guys along my photography journeys here in the new year. And I wanted to start it off with a new piece of gear that I have picked up this year. As you can probably already tell by the title of this video, I got the Fujifilm X100VI for myself, and I wanted to talk about why. Now, if you're here because of my XPro2 videos, which many people have stumbled across my channel because of those videos, whether it's about the XPro2 itself or any of the lenses that I've reviewed, you may be questioning if I'm still shooting that camera, and if so, why did I get the X100VI? So I figured I would just cover all of that today and just talk about why. So I absolutely am still shooting the XPro2. It is by far probably my favorite digital camera that I've ever shot, although I really haven't shot that many, so I don't know how much weight that statement will carry, but I do plan on keeping that camera for a very, very long time. I'm actually considering picking up the XPro3 at some point this year just to have another XPro body, because from what I've seen, I don't know if they're gonna be coming out with an XPro4, so figured maybe I would pick up an XPro3 just to have a backup just in case, because I don't know if I will love a digital camera as much as I love the XPro series. So why pick up the X100V? There are quite a few reasons why, and one of them is very superficial, and that's simply I love the way it looks, and then also the fact that I have not bought a new camera for myself in over 3 years. The last camera I purchased, digital camera, was the XPro2, and after that I got a Contax T2 as my primary film camera, but that was all back in 2021, so I have not bought a new camera since then. And I had been eyeing the X100 series for a while, but I just couldn't justify picking an X100 camera up. One, because they had discontinued making the X100V at the time, so anyone who wanted an X100V, you'd have to go on the resale market, and they were reselling it for a crazy price, justifiably so, because it was hard to get your hands on. And I just couldn't justify the cost of that with it being so similar to the XPro2 and having a fixed lens. And that's often one of the detracting factors about the X100 series. So for quite a while I held off, but when I was 7 months pregnant, I woke up to an email from Moment that had said the X100VI was now available for pre-order. I had no idea that they were coming out with an X100VI, let alone the day that they did. But when I woke up to that email, I impulsively told myself, I'm going to get myself on the pre-order list just to get it. Maybe it'll come in time for the baby to come, and it'll be like a little reward to myself and my new motherhood era camera. Little did I know that camera would end up coming 11 months later, but I will say I appreciate it so much because I'm at a point now out of postpartum where I just am getting so much more excited to go out and shoot photos again. So getting the X100VI in the mail at the time that I did has just been a great spark of creativity for me. First things first, this video is not going to be about specs, and it's not going to be specifically about specs comparing the XPro2 with the X100VI. I have barely shot the X100VI. I just wanted to talk about why I got it, and again, why I got it while having the XPro2 as well. So one of the main differences between the two is that the XPro2 is a larger camera than the X100VI. And even with the XPro XPro2, the way I had it set up, I don't know, I can't remember if I covered this in previous videos, but I had the 27mm f2.8 pancake lens on it for majority of the time. And so in a way it set it up to be very similar to the X100 series cameras with that smaller lens, a similar focal length, and overall just like very similar feel to the X100 series. But at the end of the day, that's still bigger than the X100VI. And so for a while, it was fine, but I'm such a small person where that size difference does really make a difference now that I do have the X100VI in my hands. So that was the one of the main reasons why I still wanted the X100 series camera. For many people, it's an insignificant difference. So another difference between the two, which could be a pro and a con depending on who you ask, is that the XPro2 is an interchangeable lens system. The XPro2 is just the body itself, and you can use it with Fuji's XF lens lineup, whereas the Fuji X100 series are fixed lenses, so you cannot swap them out. You can get like a zoom converter or a wide angle converter to kind of change it up a little, and I believe there's digital crops and zooms within the camera itself, but at the end of the day it's a fixed lens. Again, this could be a limitation for some people, but this could also be a great way to build up that like composition muscle for others, figuring out a good photo with the limitations that you're given. And this is often why a lot of people do like shooting prime lenses as well instead of zoom lenses. But for me, being someone who already had the 27mm on my XPro2 95% of the time, this didn't really make that big of a difference. So another big difference is the built-in flash in the X100VI. And this is a key one for me. It was one of the big reasons why I ended up getting the Contax T2 as well as a point and shoot film camera. And while I had gotten so comfortable with shooting my Olympus SLRs and even sometimes a medium format rangefinder camera, I wanted that flash capability on a point and shoot film camera, because a lot of times you're not shooting casual situations in prime great lighting. A lot of times you might be indoor, and sometimes you might even want the flash look to it. And so one thing that I did notice was that while most of the time I was shooting the XPro2, I wouldn't have an issue with lighting, but there were circumstances where I simply just needed flash, and it just wasn't a moment that I could get on camera even with a high ISO. So having a built-in flash was another key differentiator for me to add to kind of the argument of getting the X100VI. Now, another thing about the X100VI that came out was the in-body image stabilization, or IBIS. If you guys have shot Fujifilm cameras before, specifically in the X100 line and the XPro series, you'll know those cameras don't have I'm just gonna say IBIS because it's a mouthful. And so being able to have that now in a camera for the price point that it was at, retail brand new, that was kind of almost a no-brainer for me. Those were kind of the main key things about the X100VI that really sold me. I was already half sold on it before it even came out because I had been heavily considering the X100V. And of course, there's so many different technical specs that you can look up on it. It's a great camera. It's amazing as far as capabilities go. I've heard great things about it as a video camera as well, which I personally don't necessarily plan on using for that at this moment, but it's kind of nice to know that that is a possibility in the future. And then of course, it's just a beautiful camera. I also got it in silver because my XPro2 is all black. So just being able to have the two different cameras was just a nice fun bonus point. All right, so I know a lot of people may wonder, what are you doing with your XPro2? Do you still plan on keeping it? Do you still plan on shooting it? And the answer is absolutely yes. I do plan on keeping my XPro2. I have a few fun shoots lined up this year, and I honestly haven't found a lot of people who do shoot the XPro series as their primary camera for paid shoots, but that is the route that I usually go. I've done pretty much all of my paid shoots in the last few years on my XPro2 between my 35mm f2 lens, my 90mm f2 lens, and even some of them with the pancake lens. All those lenses have done really, really well for me. So I do absolutely plan on keeping the XPro2 and still heavily using it. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, even considering the XPro3 as a maybe new primary body and having the XPro2 as a secondary body, but that's something that I still need to think about. And so I'm very excited to just have both of these cameras now. The X100VI will absolutely become my new everyday carry camera. In fact, I'm hoping it will actually take over a lot of the moments that I typically shoot on my iPhone to make it much more intentional and obviously to have just nicer photos. Very excited about this year. I hope you guys want to tag along for the ride. Again, for those of you who are longtime subscribers, I so appreciate you guys sticking through it, even if it meant you just forgot that you were subscribed to me and didn't want to clean up your subscriptions. I still appreciate you clicking on this video and watching till this point. If there are any specific video requests, questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I am always about engaging with people in the comments, and I'm very excited to see where this year takes us. Until next time, thanks guys.